La dolce vita. We all know the phrase now, but it actually only came into English parlance in the 1960s after the hit movie of the same name. The meaning of the sweet life was depicted in the film as eating well, drinking wine, romance of course, and driving something like this. The Alfa Romeo Montreal was sold from 1970 to 1977, during which time less than 4,000 were built. It coincided with the fuel crisis of 1973, which signalled the end for countless European exotica, and in many ways, la dolce vita. After all, what is the point of a car that costs more than a Jaguar or a Porsche, and that is too fast to drive on congested public roads? What indeed! The Montreal's engine was a reworked version of the 2-litre V8 which powered the 33 Stradale. It was a race-bred engine with 4 overhead camshafts, dry sump lubrication, fuel injection and 16 spark plugs. By contrast, Alfa Romeo's new 4C has a Giulietta-derived turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, which seems almost plebeian until you drive it. Today has got to be one of the most frustrating days in my entire career. Why? Well, because here we sit with a car that's clearly designed to be on the track. Just listen to it. And yet, because of our short time span with it, we're not going to get anywhere near a racetrack. If Morris was here, he'd be throwing a tantrum. Design of the 4C started back in 2010. It's modelled on the 8C and brings all the technology and materials from the Competizione. It draws heavily on the form follows function premise and is built at the Maserati factory in Modena. In the rest of the world, this car weighs about 850 kilos, but it's a bit heavier in South Africa because here they've decided to add a radio, air conditioner and floor mats. Not really sure why the local arm decided that was necessary to increase their sales, but there you go. In fact, there are only 30 coming to South Africa and the order book is full. The lightweight is thanks to the use of carbon fibre, and lots of it. In fact, the chassis includes a floor pan that's made of carbon fibre, and that's key to its performance characteristics. The chassis itself weighs only 65 kilograms. Apart from an all-aluminium engine shoving out 177 kilowatts, the rear structure and crash boxes are also aluminium, optimizing centre of gravity. There's double wishbone suspension at the front and McPherson's in the rear. The outer body is made of a composite material which is 20% lighter than steel, and they claim the stability is comparable to steel and better than aluminium. Only one way to describe the driving experience in this car, and that is raw. You just feel everything. There is no frills whatsoever. There's no power steering, so you feel everything through this little racing steering wheel, and it is so direct. It's stiff, incredibly stiff. So you feel every bump, and you actually feel like your bum is on the road. In fact, I'm sitting so low I can barely see over the steering wheel. I feel like I need a cushion. Drive it in dynamic mode and you'll be fighting with the dual clutch transmission in traffic as it ums and ahs which gear it should be in, and revs far longer than you want it to.
Let's ride.
Take all of that out onto the track though, and you'll see why everyone is raving about the Alfa Romeo 4C. On the open public roads, you can at least experience a little more of what the car is truly about. Gear changes via the paddle shift are not bad, and finally, you can get to enjoy the sound of that turbocharged engine. There's more than a grumble behind your ears. I can only describe it as rude, the sound that this car makes, and I'm not just talking about the engine. Sure, at idle it's gruff and it's grumpy, but put your foot on the throttle and you not only feel like a racing driver, you sound like one too. The engine whooshes, burps, it spits. Inside the cockpit you've got hissing and crackling and even rattling. Sounds like a 3-year-old playing on a drum kit. Very irritating on road, but I should imagine on the track, it just makes that experience so much more visceral. Wherever you drive it, you won't relax. You need every bit of concentration to enjoy this car to the max. The dynamic control selector will change the behavior of the engine, brakes, throttle response, suspension and gearbox. Every time you get in, you'll find it waiting for you in dynamic. That's its natural state. There's also a race mode, which turns off all your safety nets. So clearly the Alfa 4C is all about the drive. Its compact shape, and let me tell you, it is a lot smaller in the flesh than you think, and its curvy lines are not just there to look pretty, but man, don't they do a fine job of that. In this new lava red colour, it's certainly a head turner on the roads and in parking lots. You, on the other hand, will only turn heads for the awkward contortions required to actually get out of the car. Alfisti will tell you that if you haven't owned an Alfa at least once in your life, you haven't owned a car. At just over 850,000 Rand, it's interestingly positioned in the market. It doesn't have the refinement of a Porsche Cayman. I've read that it doesn't have the dynamics of a Lotus either, although we'd need to put it on the track ourselves to verify that. So where does it fit in, and what is it? Well, it's a 4C, of course. Which brings us very neatly back to the start. What is the point of a ridiculously expensive sports car, the performance of which can only truly be enjoyed on a racetrack? Nothing. But it will make you feel like you're living La Dolce Vita.